here we are. We've got 4 adults, all over 18, and 2 extremely huge dogs.
Winter's just around the corner, and with it comes the time for bundling up against the cold. It's time for gift giving, because the holiday season is here, and also an opportunity to help out people in need. So what do those 3 things have in common? Well, if you're a knitter, the answer is you. And today, I, Alistair Stewart, am going to help show you how to get started as a knitter. Now, if you are never done it before, these needles can be pretty intimidating. So today, what we're going to talk about is the knitting loom, which is a simple plastic rig that you can buy that will help make you an expert in no time at all. You can go from never having picked up one of these to wearing your own hat that you made with your own 2 hands, all in one day. No problem at all. So today, what we're going to talk about is the supplies and materials you'll need, and how to plan a hat, and how to actually get started, and what to do once you have gotten started and gotten hooked and find that you have so many hats you don't know what to do with them, which would be to give them away or sell them. So let's move on to materials and supplies. The first supply that you'll need is the knitting loom, and you can buy these at retail establishments like Joann Fabrics for about $10, and you can also get them at Walmart. Provo Craft is the manufacturer that makes them, and they have a website so you can find them online. They come in several different sizes too. The next thing that you'll need is yarn. Yarn runs the gamut from being synthetics and wools that you can easily find at large box retailers to specialty fibers that you can find at smaller stores like Knit O'Shea and Walla Walla, which is run out of a Woman's House. You can find them online at an outlet like Etsy.com, where a whole bunch of different people produce materials that you can purchase. You can also pick them up in your travels or find them in specialty stores in larger cities. The last thing that you need is a comfortable place to sit, like your favorite chair, or even your bed, kitchen counter, anywhere that you have room to work and a good amount of light and that you're comfortable. Those are the key elements. So we've talked about the supplies you'll need, and we've talked about the yarn you'll need, and we've talked about the place to knit. And so now it's time to plan a hat. When you plan a hat, there's 3 key elements that you need to keep in mind. One of them is the type of yarn you're going to use. So you need to decide whether you want to use wool, which is wonderful in cold weather and it stays warm when it's wet, but needs to be washed by hand or dry cleaned because it will shrink. Or you could use synthetics, which are much easier to find, number 1, and number 2 can be thrown in the wash machine. There are a million varieties of thread, so you'll have a lot of things to think about there. The second thing that you want to consider is color. You may already have in mind what color of hat you want to make, whether it's for yourself. If it's for another person, you'll want to look at the clothing that they wear to get an idea of their style and think about their complexion, skin tone, hair color, and that sort of thing to give you an idea of what would complement their look the best. The last thing that you need to do is decide what size of hat you're going to make. If you're making an adult's hat, which you would do with one of these green sizes of knitting looms, you'll need about 100 yards of fiber, and that is per strand. So if you have a multiple strand hat like this one, then you'll need to have 100 yards of each one of those. That will give you a little bit more than you need, but it's a safe estimate. A smaller loom, like for a child's hat, it's much less yarn, 75, 50 yards, no problem. So, you've got your yarn colors and your yarn varieties and your size all in mind, and now it's time to actually get down to knitting. So when you get down to knitting, what you do is you take your loom, you make a little tail of thread, and there's a little knob here that gives you a place to start, and all you have to do is make a ton of little loops. So you go loop, 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 loop. This is the key litmus test for you in determining whether you'll enjoy using a knitting loom, because if you don't like making little loops, you won't like knitting with the loom. But you'll find that it has huge advantages over needles in that you don't need any practice to be able to maintain proper tension. So that's what the first course of threads looks like right there. Now what you do once you have that first course is you push them all down to the bottom, and once you have them all pushed down to the bottom, you make another course around on top of it. And once you have that second course, you can take your yarn hook and pick the threads up, and then loop them over the top of these pegs. And that's all of the action that goes into this. Now, as you get farther along, you'll need to make a hat band. So you'll have structural integrity, and what you do there is you knit twice as far as you expect it to for the width of hat band that you want, and then you simply pick the loops up, hook them onto the pegs, and then use your hook to pull threads over just like you had previously, and then you push it down again and do the body of your hat. The body of your hat will take the longest amount of time. It's about 25 times around. And when you get to the very end, once you've gotten enough hat, you're going to take all of these little loops here. You'll have one last set of loops, and what you'll do is you'll pull them up slightly, and then you hook this needle, which you'll have threaded, under there, and pull them off one at a time, all the while threading a string around so that you have like a drawstring for a purse. And that will give you something that you can close the top of the hat with. And then you just tie it off and adorn it with any baubles or poof balls that you like, and you're good to go. So that's all there is to making a hat. You start the first courses, you do the band, you do the body, you seal it off, and you're good to go. And as you can see, making a hat is really easy, but that's a double-edged sword because you might find yourself buried under a huge pile of hats, which is what happened to me. So if that happens, you've got several opportunities. One is to keep the first hat you make. You should always keep the first hat you make as a keepsake, if for nothing else. After that, you'll find that your friends and family will tolerate at least a few hats, since they're made by your own two hands and will, of course, be beautiful. And another option is to give some to charity. If you have many hats and you take them to a charitable organization, they can distribute them to people who need them. And that would be a fabulous gift, and it's a gift that gives you something back. And then the final option is to sell them. You may find that craft bazaars or local stores will carry your hats, and another option is to set up an online store, like at the previously mentioned website, Etsy, where you can sell your hats back to the people who sold you the yarn. So that's your options. You can keep the hats, you can sell the hats, and you can give the hats away. And that's hats. So I think that you'll find that what we've covered here will give you an opportunity to go from total novice to total expert within just a few hours. And I think that we've covered all the bases, yes. We've covered the materials you'll need, we've covered how to plan your hat, and we have finally covered getting down to knitting and what to do with all of your hats. So I thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and happy knitting.